Hello, and welcome to this live stream of the Fandom Thing. We are going to be talking all about book adaptations. So we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly is what I don't know why I'm just naming it that, because I'm sure it won't get that sense. Or maybe it will. Who knows?
I don't know. Paul and I are like, we're ready to fight.
Ready to fight. Fight about this. So it should be fun. We do still have our bingo card. So let me and Bailey, who is like working towards plastering her bathroom wall with our stickers, is not going to be here watching, unfortunately. So, but that gives other people a chance to win some of our podcast stickers. And if you win this one, you're going to get our brand new horror logo, which will be available for everybody on September 1st. I'm going to debut that later, and I'm also going to give a link to our Google Doc about our horror trivia event, which will have all the rules, all that kind of jazz. And then remember, of course, signups for that start August 1st. So that will be really awesome. We've got tons of exciting stuff coming up soon, which some of it I cannot share yet, but some very exciting stuff is coming up. We did have somebody is giving us, I don't know if everybody knows who, go seek him out, Neil Frazier Graphics. He does poster art designs. You might have seen his when we interviewed Josh Rubin for the cover for that, the Scare Me poster on there. He designed that. And he is going to be designing, I'm coming up with the idea of it, what the movie will be, but he's designing a poster that will be part of the prize package. And we're also going to have one that you'll be able to go to, and I'm adding this in, so you'll be able to go to his store and pick out a poster of your choice from the ones he has there. And he is incredibly talented. And he will probably be on one of our horror trivia nights. He said just stick him wherever, because it's going to be a late night for him. So it's going to be a Saturday. So he'll probably be, I'm thinking maybe on our final one, our body horror one, and our final one where we announce the winner. I'm thinking I might stick him there. But he's a really great guy. So thank you again to him for that. And it'll be a great prize. So I just wanted to announce that as well. But now what I want to do is get to my panelists and have them tell me what they're into right now. Meg, who hasn't been on in 20,000 years, it feels like, just because, I get an onslaught of Meg, and then
she gets tired of me and cuts me off. She's like, you have to wait 3 weeks before you can come back at least.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So Meg, what are you into right now?
So lately I've been rewatching Downton Abbey, because I've been really stressed about stuff. So I haven't, like, when you're stressed, I can't watch new stuff when I'm feeling anxious and stressed. So I've been rewatching Downton Abbey and like playing in my head what I think Carla would be live tweeting it, because she won't watch it. Like, and I pushed my luck with making her watch TV shows that about rich white people in period pieces far enough. So I've just been imagining what she's saying, and she is hilarious in my head. So, I mean, you guys can all badger her to make her watch it.
That would be a great one to have her like MST3K.
Exactly. I'm like,
yes.
I'm watching it and I was like, God, Carla would hate almost every single person in this show, but I
would pay for her to watch it too.
Yes. It's like, it would be so good. And I wouldn't even get like sad like I sometimes get when she hates characters I love, because I'm like, yeah, almost every single one of these people needs to get slapped from time to time.
So you'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yes, I now know that pain of having her, but she loved the show she watched, but she just didn't like certain characters. So yeah. Oh, and Bex it will pay for Carla to watch Downton.
Yes.
Right.
We think we need to start a petition. try and get this trending, because she is so insightful and she's so funny and she's so like cutting.
Yeah. Get hashtag Carla watch Downton Abbey. Would that be the hashtag?
Yeah. Hashtag Carla watch Downton Abbey.
Get that trending.
Definitely.
if
Doing
I
that now.
like if I have other people hound her to do it, then it's not me doing
Yes.
it, right?
Hey, Bailey is here. Carlton Abbey.
Carlton.
Abbey. Carlton I like that.
That's
Let's go
perfect.
for that one, Bex. You start that trending right now. Work on that right now.
Love it.
And Paula, you haven't been on in a while either.
It's been a while.
Yes. So what are you into right now?
I actually haven't been watching a lot recently. I've been playing a lot of Conan Exiles.
What's that?
It's a video game based on the Conan the Barbarian comics.
Okay.
And yeah, so playing it with some friends, you can, build bases and kill things and build things and all kinds of fun stuff. So yeah, we've been doing that a lot. So
okay, so it's not like based on Conan O'Brien.
no. Wrong Conan.
It's just Arnold Schwarzenegger. What are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah, there's a downloadable pack that you can actually get stuff from the movie and put in the game. Yeah, absolutely. So.
Oh, that's funny. Well, are you going to be on it? Because we're going to be talking about female gamers.
Yep, I'm on that one.
That's what I thought. Okay, so we are talking about female gamers soon. I'm going to try and see if my panelists will want to do that one live. So it's up to, I know Paula's fine with live. So, and I can't remember right offhand who else is on that one. But
definitely me, because
Angela. Oh yes, and definitely Meg.
I'm a really big gamer.
Angela's on that one too. Yeah.
Not to
and
brag.
Angela will do live. So.
Not to brag, but I've reached the very end limit of what's available for my crafty candy on my phone. I've reached, I have to wait now for them to add more levels to play. So I'm not sure if that's something I should brag about, but
then you can come on that episode.
That's all I'm going to talk about. I was like, well, you make those three in a row matches. Sometimes you get 5 and things start really.
Well, I felt really accomplished when I got through Plants vs. Zombies, the first Plants vs. Zombies, and I achieved, and you went through that last one, where the space alien zombie or something smashes you on the roof. I love that game.
We're doing book adaptations. You should do an episode of video game adaptations, and we can all just shit. Well,
no. There was, since, we love Josh Rubin on this podcast, Werewolves Within was really good. So they can be good.
Super Mario Brothers, 100%, man. I love that.
I was about to say Clue, but that wasn't a video game. That was a board game. Did they ever make Monopoly?
Look, they made Battleship, okay?
Oh, that's right.
I haven't seen it, but they did make Battleship.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
they're making shit. What is it? It's with Nathan something. I can't remember the video game, but they're adapting it, and I think Tom Holland is playing the main character, and I'm really mad at the Underworld or I don't know. Either way, I really, really like. It's the only video game I've liked watching my husband play, that and Assassin's Creed, because I'm like, there's a story, yay! And he's just like, yep, this is awesome. I'm so glad my wife's here. I ship these two. They really need to get. He's like, I'm in control of this guy. So I can't go to all the brothels because you're bugging me. That's Red Dead Redemption.
Uncharted,
yes. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
They're making a movie, and I used to love watching that. Yes, thank you, Bex. Someone knows. I'm glad that there's someone who can listen to my stream of consciousness rambling and figure out.
I understand what you're talking about. And what I'm into is we're going to be covering Ryan Murphy in a couple weeks. And so I started binging Nip Tuck again. And let me tell you, I watched that show when that show was first on, and I loved it. And then I got sick of it because, a lot of Ryan Murphy shows, and you'll hear me say this probably through the whole 4 episodes that we do on Ryan Murphy, he tends to not know how to edit. He also tends to want to go so far out that he doesn't know how to rein himself back in. And oh my gosh, Nip Tuck, I forgot how absolutely insane this show is. The stuff this show does. And it is not a show that's easy to binge watch. I will say I had to take a break and go to the other show that I have to watch, which is Glee. So that's a totally different Ryan Murphy show.
It's a really good juxtaposition.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's a really weird combo. It's like, okay, I'm watching something really dark and twisted, and now I'm gonna go watch Glee.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Glee when you said something really dark and twisted.
Oh no. No, Nip Tuck is, have either of you watched Nip Tuck?
Mm-mm.
I've seen a few episodes. There's the one episode that I feel like everyone who is a fan of Misha Collins has seen.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
well,
he's
that's
on
not,
there.
that hasn't been
I haven't
on
seen
yet.
it.
But has anyone watching this right now seen Nip Tuck? You can watch it right now on Hulu if you want to watch it before this airs in August. So not this episode, but before the Nip Tuck episode airs in August. It's seriously, I'm watching it like, what in the world? But Fergie, who's a dog, whenever I'm watching it, she stares so intently at the TV screen, especially when they're doing the surgery. When they're doing the plastic surgery, she stares at the TV like, whoa. I'm like, okay, something's wrong with this dog. I'm like, okay, maybe I should lock my door because she might come in there.
Just imagining a dog with surgical tools.
Right?
She's like, don't worry, I learned this on Nip Tuck.
I grew thumbs just for this.
Yes. But anyway, so I'm sort of into those, but I'm also like, oh my gosh, this show is a lot. How am I going to be able to handle binging this whole thing in 2 weeks? Because I'm on season 3, so I've got 3 more seasons to go. And it's just, oh my gosh. Anyway, let's get into book adaptations. Something really light and breezy.
Oh yeah.
So
It'll be a light discussion.
there'll be no arguing.
None whatsoever.
I have no idea what Paula or you are going to say, Erin, so I'm sure there will never be any disagreements about anything.
No.
With my long list of book adaptations I love, and you guys I have 3.
Yep.
I have like nothing. Well, you can't really see it, but I have like hardly anything.
Erin's like, I hate everything.
But we did, just to answer Bex and Bailey about the bingo card, and anyone else who wants to play, here's the bingo card. So let me go over what we've said. So we did mention a horror movie, because I did mention a horror movie, a couple of them. We were all laughing, like everyone said. Oh, Carla's on.
Carla!
Hi, Carla.
Carla, scroll up for the hashtag.
Yeah, scroll up to find the hashtag about
I
it.
didn't do it.
No, we had nothing to do with it. Oh, we went on a tangent. I'm just saying we went on a tangent. And we're all laughing, of course. And Supernatural is one that you already get. So that's only 4 so far. So I don't know. I know we will get one of these for sure because Meg is on. And I know, no, the spelling. I
refuse. Look at my tag right there. Look at that. That's what I'm repping today.
Yes. I'm like, huh? No, duh. Okay. So Carla just wants to see our pretty faces. So thank you, Carla.
Yes,
Carla, do it.
We just want you to MST3K it. We just
please, Carla. Please.
You're so funny in my head, wife.
So everybody go out there right now. And at the same time you're watching this, and then when you go back and you listen to this on the podcast, if you're just listening to this podcast version, because I know that's where most people probably hear this episode right now, but please go and get the hashtag Carleton Abbey trending, please.
Worldwide.
She already watched a white show for you this year, Meg.
But Carla, it's white people with accents.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get some more accents
it's-
into your
It's research.
into your bag for helping you along, so that you're not just doing Christian effing Bale. There you go, everybody.
There we go.
Christian Bale
But-
for y'all.
Yeah, Carla wasn't here when I was just like, I've used up all of my make Carla watch white people rich white people shows. I've used it all, so now I got to come at her from the side with other people.
Come at her from the side. Sorry, that's okay. Anyway, okay, so she can bring her own accent to the table. Thank you very much,
Governor.
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 Okay. Okay, so let's get into whatever topic we're talking about here. Look at the scroll. Book adaptation. Okay, so let's start. We're going to start out with the ones that you think you love the book and you also love the adaptation. So, Meg, what are some of those for you? Or name a couple.
Well, first off, I'm really excited because it doesn't look like we're going to be talking about Harry Potter at all.
No, we aren't.
None of us.
Spoiler.
Nope.
Yeah, all of us before, like, none of us have done both reading the books or watching the movies. So if you're coming here for that, I'm sorry. So, oh yes, Carla is the topic, her missing co-host. Yes, Bex 100%. Pride and Prejudice, the miniseries, I have to be very specific. The Colin Firth miniseries from 1995. I love that one. All the other adaptations, like I guess the Keira Knightley one, if you only have 2 hours and not 6 hours, yeah. But nothing is going to be, no one is Mr. Darcy except for Colin Firth, to me, now and forever. And just to throw that in there, I actually really like most of the Jane Austen book adaptations. I thought Sense and Sensibility was really, really good with Emma Thompson. And I think the story behind Emma Thompson creating this movie, because she wanted to play Eleanor and everyone said, you're too old. You can't play Eleanor. So she's like, fine, I'm going to adapt this myself. I'm going to write the screenplay. I'm going to get, I think it was her husband. She's like, and it's a fantastic movie. I really like the Emma, Johnny Lee Miller miniseries adaptation. I really, really like that. I also really like the 2021 Outlander. I can't not say Outlander because those are some of my favorite books. And I was so worried when they made the Outlander series, when they announced it, because I was like, oh, how are they going to not mess up like my favorite books? And they haven't yet, which is good. There's stuff I don't like about it, but I'm not someone who is like, if it's not a perfect adaptation, I hate it. I'm not one of those people. I think you can love both for different reasons. Bridgerton, I'm not saying Bridgerton's a great show, but I like it. I'm going to take all of them. Bridget Jones's Diary is another one of my favorites. I really like that book. I really, really love the movie. I'm in love with Colin Firth, I think I
can tell
the overriding theme here. And I really like the Hunger Games. Those are, I think I'm going to shut up now for a little bit. Because we're talking about ones that we think are better. So I have other ones there too. But those are some of my favorite book adaptations that I could think of off the top of my head before coming on.
And before we get over to Paula, so Beck said a series of unfortunate events. The Netflix version. I haven't watched that, so I don't know if anyone else has.
Yeah, I haven't read the books or seen the show, so I can't really.
Yeah. And then Bex is basically saying, you need to make it into a series for me to be satisfied, is what Bex said.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing. It's really hard for me with movies that are adapted. Like if it's a short book, like I think The Notebook did a pretty good job of adapting The Notebook. But especially when it's something as epic as say Outlander or Game of Thrones, which I have only read the first book of Game of Thrones and I haven't finished watching the show, so I couldn't really make too many comments on that.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Sorry. She did make us say Netflix. So there you go. Another bingo square. And that
Flatflix.
came naturally, even though you did make it. But yes, yes. So, Paula, what are some of yours where you think it was the best for your book?
Okay, so I agree with Meg. Pride and Prejudice, the 1995 miniseries with Colin Firth, is the only
Mhm.
Pride and Prejudice. There are no others. I'm sorry. They're not. Most of the BBC ones are fantastic adaptations of the Jane Austen books. Good Omens. That was
Yeah.
fantastic. And they're making a second season. I'm so excited. I haven't read a lot of the Sherlock Holmes books, but there was a 1984 series that was done starring Jeremy Brett as Sherlock Holmes that was fantastic. If you're at all a fan of Sherlock Holmes, that is a really good adaptation of the Holmes books. I know the new series Sherlock is great, but if you like the older, more true to the book style, fantastic. Highly recommend. It's great.
If you want to go the opposite way, I think Elementary deserves.
I haven't seen Elementary yet.
I
so.
really liked it. I love Johnny Lee Miller.
Yes,
Colin
that's why
Firth and Johnny Lee Miller. It's like
totally fair.
I
Totally
love
fair.
that Johnny Lee Miller gets a lot of love on this podcast, I will say. So because he deserves it.
Deserves it.
So Jeremy Brett, then, so you love.
Yeah.
Bex is loving this episode. So.
He was fantastic. Fantastic. Like the definitive Sherlock Holmes in my book. Like I said, the newer adaptations are great, but like he's like just the standard to me for Sherlock Holmes. He was great. The Chronicles of Narnia, I know a lot of people didn't like the movie adaptations of the books, but I enjoyed them. You know, again, they weren't perfect adaptations of the books, but I really enjoyed them. I thought they were great. One of the a newer movie, The Martian.
I haven't seen or
that
read
movie
yet, but I heard it was amazing.
The movie or the book was fantastic. The movie was just as good. I loved them both. So those are great. If you haven't seen or read either of those, highly recommend those. So, and a childhood favorite, Neverending Story. I saw the movie when I was a kid, and I actually listened to the audiobook version as an adult, and it was actually really good. So those are great. And there's a lot more to that book than what you saw in the movie. The movie was just a tiny portion of that book. There's so much more to it. So if you haven't read the book, that one's kind of a fun one to check out because there's a lot more to it.
I'm still traumatized from that movie. So
definitely, yeah.
Tell me you're
traumatizes every child.
That movie was the best, though. That movie
it really
was. The best. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I didn't know you were a literature professor, Dr. Bex. That's why Dr. Bex.
Awesome.
I didn't know that. So yeah, so this is totally. That's why, because Bex thought that we had already recorded this episode last night. And was so upset. And so I'm really glad then, because now I understand why you were so upset. I mean, I understand anyway, because missing us and if you don't get to see us, it's a very sad day. I understand that.
I've got one more.
Yes,
Anne of Green Gables. There's the older Canadian adaptation that they did, 2 movies. Actually, they did 3 movies, but the last one was terrible. So that falls in the next category of disappointed. And then there was the newer version, Anne with an E, which
I love it.
Was a departure from the original, but also very good. So
well, and I think that's a good kind of example of it doesn't have to be exactly like the book to still be good. And I see so many people who get angry about adaptations that are different from the book or are an adaptation, not a word for word thing. Like, you still have the book, you still have that source material. Mm-hmm. Nobody is making you watch Shadow and Bone if you don't like the adaptation of oh my gosh, Six of Crows. There we go. And the whole book series. But another one, I thought the Greta Gerwig Little Women adaptation, I thought was really, really well done. And I didn't think I could stomach another Little Woman adaptation, to be honest. But I liked it.
Yeah, I can't even remember which adaptations of that I've seen because they just kind of all started blurring together.
It's the newer one.
It came out like a couple years ago. I think it was
Okay,
like
yeah, I haven't seen that one.
2019. I think it was
Yeah.
2019 that it came out, I
Mhm.
want to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a couple of years ago. But yeah. Yeah, it's so funny because I will say, spoiler alert, I think our lists are going to be kind of really different, which is good. I mean, my list is going to be very different from Meg and Paula, I think. Just because I will have a spoiler. I'm not gonna have a single probably Jane Austen thing on here because I'm not a Jane Austen fan.
It's
That's okay.
okay.
We've got you covered. We got
Paula-
you covered.
Paula
Except
and
for
I are here.
I will say I love Emma Thompson's Sense and Sensibility.
Yes.
I will agree with that because I'm not big on period dramas like that. And I actually think that was a really, really good adaptation. So I think that was really good. But that probably go more into the better than the original since those aren't my kind of things. But okay. So ones that are great is, and we're actually going to be talking about Stephen King later this year. We were going to be talking about Stephen King sooner, but because I'm not going to be available and all this stuff, we aren't going to be talking about Stephen King until September. But I think, and I have a story to go along with this, but I think Pet Sematary is actually a really excellent adaptation. I'm talking about the original one from the 80s. I actually don't have a big problem with the recent one. I know a lot of people do. I don't have a problem with it. So, that's just me. But I remember I read that book, okay, and I finished it right when it came out. I was in grade school. So, but I've been watching horror forever. We went and saw that. And then my dog, so this is a sad story. And then my dog had to be put to sleep like right after we saw Pet Sematary practically. It was kind of bizarre. So that movie terrifies me. The book terrifies me, but it also makes me a little sad. But I just think those are interesting stories. And I love how am I forgetting his name? From the 80s one, and he also did a show that I used to love too, and nobody ever talks about this guy.
Might surprise you, but I have not
I know
seen
you
nor
have.
read.
I was mainly focusing on Paula for that question. I can't remember his name. I'm gonna have to look it up here.
It's been so long since I've seen it.
And if anybody in the,
I'm still working on my Stephen King research for that episode.
I'm not on that one either. I will come and talk about 2 books.
I know. I'm like, most of the stuff I'm going to mention, Meg, except for some, I know Meg will be like, I wouldn't read that. I didn't read that. What are you talking about? I didn't read that. Except for some of the book adaptations that are better. I don't think that'll be the case. I think and speaking of Stephen King, another Stephen King one is, I think Misery is a great, fantastic adaptation. I think next to like Stand By Me and Shawshank and that stuff. And then I have one on here that I think is actually better than the Stephen King book. But
You're taking my list.
Oh, really? I'm like, what? I fall for it. Bye, Bailey. Sorry. Bye.
I hear
she's going to go see Black Widow. So I haven't seen Black Widow yet, but
I heard it's awesome from my 12 and 8-year-old. So,
I haven't seen that yet. But oh, that was what I meant to. Sorry, everybody. I was just talking.
Look, Carla's not even in the show, and she's taking my stuff.
Oh, yes, the adaptation. Yes, the adaptation of The Green Mile is good too. Yeah, I think Frank Darabont really knows how to adapt Stephen King stuff, which he didn't do Misery, of course. That's Rob Reiner. But I do think he knows how to do that. Like, and I didn't read The Mist, but The Mist is one of my favorite horror movies. I think it's so good. But yeah, so I think Misery is great, and it almost borders on being better than the book. Actually, I think some of the way they show certain things in the movie as opposed to the book are better. Like the way, spoiler for a 1980s film, but the way
40 years, I think,
the way the sheriff is killed in the book versus the way the sheriff is killed in the movie. And I understand why they really changed that, because in the book, he's like run over by a riding lawnmower. And in the movie, he's shot with a shotgun. So it would have been, I think, because of what Rob Reiner was going for, I think it would have been a little bit different. And when Annie Wilkes hobbles him in the book, she uses doesn't she use like an axe? I think she uses an axe or something. I think Paula, did you read it? Did you?
I haven't read that one yet. That one's on my list.
Oh, okay. Never mind
But
then.
no, it's I'm familiar enough with the story though. It's not really spoilers for me though.
Yeah, I think that's what she does is the axe and stuff like that. So it's, yes, very epic movie scene.
Yeah.
Very epic. I was rewatching Misery not too long ago, and that movie, talk about holding up. I mean, that movie is incredible.
Yeah.
That's an excellent movie. Even if you don't like horror, I think it's really good. Okay, and then my next one is Gone Girl, which I think is, I read Gone Girl on a plane when I went to California a few years ago, and because I wanted to read it before the movie came out. And while they changed some things, I think it's an absolutely perfect adaptation. And it's probably, a lot of that has to do with the fact that Flynn. Thank you, Finn. I don't know where I'm getting that from. Gillian Flynn, who wrote the book, she wrote the screenplay. So I think that helps a lot. And I just think it was so well done. And the book is excellent. If you haven't read the book, definitely read the book, even if you've seen the movie, because it's just written so well. And you can see the performances captured these characters perfectly too. I think it was perfect casting, frankly. So that is another one. Yes, and Carla agrees with me on that one, of course, because I'm right. But and then I'm going to go with Girl Interrupted, which we have mentioned in our mental illness portrayals episode. I think there's a lot of differences between the book and the movie, but as someone who has her own personal experience with that stuff and has been in a hospital when she was a teenager, it really is a very personal story, and I think it's really well written. And I think the movie adaptation is really good, especially Angelina Jolie, what she did with that role, and when she was speaking out and saying beautiful, wonderful, amazing things for people who do have mental illnesses. I know there are issues with her, but I will always have a soft spot in my heart for her because of that role. So I have to mention that one. And then I actually have more than I thought I did because I was writing more down while we were talking. I think Watership Down, which is part of the reason I know most of the bunnies are good in Watership Down, but some of the bunnies are evil, and that's where my bunny thing started. But that's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I'm not an animation fan, and I shouldn't have seen it as a kid. That's not a kid's movie, frankly. But the book is good too, and I think that's a great one. And then, that's it for me. I'm sure I'll probably think of others while we're going along. I'm like, oh my gosh, I added more to there. But those are the ones that, and I don't think I stole any from anybody, right?
I don't think you did. I don't think you did either. I think, well, and that's the thing is like you're telling me movies. I'm like, I like the movie, but I haven't read the book. So it's hard for me to be like, if I think it's a good adaptation or not. So I'm like, yeah, everything that I talk about is from a book. I've read the books at least, which is why we're not going to talk about Harry Potter.
Yeah. I try to keep it to stuff I've seen and read, so I can compare them.
Yeah, because I don't think you could make a fair comparison if you haven't, Yeah. Okay, so before we go to the ones that are better than the books, we're actually going to do ones that we think were really bad adaptations. So we're going to go negative now. This is where we go ugly. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I thought I would have so many more on my list, to be perfectly honest, but I was trying to really be like, narrow it down. So, and yeah, I'm going to hop in right now. You don't even have to ask me.
I know.
I don't even need the prompt.
Just going. The Giver. So that's.
I actually have never seen The Giver because I heard how terrible it was. So I was like, nope, I'm washing my hands of that movie. It didn't happen. It didn't exist. The other thing that does not exist is the Demi Moore, Gary Oldman, Scarlet Letter adaptation. That doesn't exist.
I forgot all about that.
That softcore porn. I I'm wondering if they read the book or if they're just like, hey, this lady bones a priest and has a baby. And like, and that's all they got. And they're like, we're going to have her stand in a bucket and wash herself. And that's the whole movie, I guess, apparently. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it was just bad. Like, I wasn't a big fan of The Scarlet Letter because I had to read it for high school. And, when you have to read something, it's always harder to enjoy it. But the movie was just terrible. Something Borrowed with Jennifer Goodwin.
Oh, that
was
awful.
It was so bad. I read the books, like Something Borrowed, Something Blue, and I can't remember if there's a third one, but I think it's just the duology. But I read the books and I liked it, and I was like, it was still like, okay, well, she's sleeping with her best friend's fiance. But when you're reading the books, you get like the nuance in her thought process, and you really get to see kind of how it all happens. So you're able to kind of like understand, not necessarily excuse or forgive, but you can understand kind of what happens. And in the movie, she's just like, yeah, her friend sucks. Her friend's a bitch, but she just starts sleeping with her friend's fiance. And there's just, it was so bad. It actually came up in my Facebook memories recently, being like, if you have read, like my status was, if you've read Something Borrowed, don't go see the movie. If you haven't read Something Borrowed, don't go see the movie and read the book. It was so bad. And another one is One for the Money, based on the series by Janet Ivanovich with Katherine Heigl. Oh. I was so looking forward to this movie because I love the books are bubblegum. Like, they really are. They're like fun, silly mystery bounty hunter books. And I was so looking forward to the movie, and it was just awful. It's like these are all books that my issue is they take all of the nuance from the books and they just erase it and throw stuff on a movie. Divergent, I thought the first one was all right. I think it kind of fell apart from there, and I think that might be the case, honestly, for the books a little bit too. I think it was just kind of rushed into production because it was riding the Hunger Game coattails, basically. I agree, Bex. No one needed to make 3 movies out of The Hobbit. That book was like this big. The Great Gatsby, I think, was not good. I don't think either of them were good, but especially not the new one. I might get in trouble, but I did not like the adaptation of The Vampire Diaries. Like, I didn't dislike the show too much, but it was just so completely. It's like they are like, okay, well, we're going to adapt these book series. We're going to name the 3 main characters the same names. And then that's it. And that's the only thing that's the same. So I guess in itself, I liked The Vampire Diaries just fine. Nobody likes The Great Gatsby. Like, nobody likes it. They're all terrible people doing terrible things. And then Clan of the Cave Bear was I really looked for some that I thought were egregious adaptations. I think Clan of the Cave Bear is one of my favorite books of all time, and this is like a Daryl Hannah 1980s adaptation of it, and it is awful. It's terrible. The books are so good, and it just got completely destroyed. And now I'm very wary of any adaptations. Like, they've been talking about making Clan of the Cave Bear. This was pre-COVID, so I'm sure the plans got scrapped. But they were talking about adapting it for like Lifetime or something. And I'm like, do you need to though? Like, do we need to do this? So those are mine. I'm sure I'll think of more because I have been adding more as you guys have been talking. That's what I've been doing too.
That's what I've been doing too.
Like, this one was shit.
Yeah.
And The Cat in the Hat absolutely was shit.
That's what made me laugh. I don't know why it made me laugh, but it made me laugh. But Carla also mentioned the Da Vinci Code, which I didn't read the book, but I didn't like the movie. The Alex Cross movie, I don't know what that is.
I don't know about that. Marty read The Da Vinci Code is one of my husband's favorite books. He doesn't read very often. He's like, I read, but I fall asleep immediately, so I can't. And I love Tom Hanks, but he hated that movie so much. It was no national treasure.
Well, but we made the sequels, though. It was no national treasure.
Gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
And yeah, so The Great Gatsby, it looks like that's not loved. So, it's a James Patterson character. Okay. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've ever read a James Patterson book. Maybe I have, and I just don't know. Why does that sound familiar? Was that Tom Cruise in that one, or was it somebody else?
I don't know. The only James Patterson books I've read are the ones that were written under the pseudonym Richard Castle to go with the ABC show Castle. And I actually liked the Nikki Heat books, but I don't know. I think if you can write like 12 books a year, then maybe you need to shake up your writing a little bit because I don't know. That's a lot of books.
Yeah, I mean that can be said of a lot of writers, I think. So Paula, what are your list here?
Okay. My first one is my most hated movie. I hate this.
Now I'm nervous.
I know.
Probably not. I don't think this is going to be on anybody else's list. And I've gotten some hate from my friends from this one. I absolutely despise Starship Troopers. Hate it.
No, it's on my list. No, I'm just kidding.
I hate that movie with a fiery passion. That was one of those books. So when I got old enough,
I was thinking was going to happen. So I'm like, that was like, I didn't even know that was a book.
Yeah, it's a Robert Heinlein book. And my dad started me reading Robert Heinlein when I got old enough because Robert Heinlein wrote a lot of young adult books, actually. And so he started loaning me his Robert Heinlein books, and that was one of the books he wrote. He lent me. And when Starship Troopers came out, he and I were both so excited to go see this movie. I'm going to date myself here. We went and saw it in the Dollar Theater, and it was a waste of money. Okay.
Wow. $1 not even good enough for it.
No, it was just a flaming pile of crap.
And this has become like a cult favorite.
It has, and I don't get it. It was terrible. I think I read something, and I can't remember off the top of my head who directed it, but I don't even believe he read the book. He just took the highlights and made this steaming pile. And then later he did an animated series also based on the books, which were slightly better, but still kind of missed the mark. Yeah, hate it. I'm sorry if you love it. Great. Hate it. That's just top of my list.
Wow. I didn't know that someday we'd have such a passionate discussion about Starship Troopers, but that's pretty awesome.
I almost want to fight you just because you're so passionate about it.
And I know it's such an odd one to hate so much, but I just hate it so much.
And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I do not have strong enough feelings about Starship Troopers
I don't either.
Even like pretend to formulate an argument. Like, like that's never been an issue. I can fight without knowing anything.
It's not even like I love the book or anything. I haven't read the book since I was a teenager, but I hate that movie so much.
Man, I'm like, okay, does anyone want to defend Starship Troopers out there?
Now, Paul is really more of a Battlefield Earth kind of girl.
Oh, I haven't even seen it, so I can't even speak to that
one.
You like the L. Ron Hubbard, huh?
Oh my gosh. So aside from that, while I was watching some stuff for the Stephen King episode, I watched the new version of The Stand. Mm-hmm. Don't bother. Just don't do it. It's an incoherent mess.
What was the show that was based on the Stephen, like with the bubble? Do you remember?
Under the Dome?
Under the Dome.
Yeah.
They did an adaptation of that, and I mean,
I've heard that that's not great either.
Oh no, it's not. But I
didn't think it was that bad.
No,
I didn't think it was. I didn't read the book though.
I didn't think it was that bad. I started to either read or watched that one and stopped for some reason. I can't remember, but yeah, it wasn't.
I heard the book wasn't good either.
Yeah, I heard neither one were really great. And then the other one, the Dresden Files books were great. The series, if you haven't read the books, the TV series was good. It was only like one season. If you know, but it wasn't a great adaptation of the books themselves. That's kind of one that you really have to keep them separate to enjoy the series. I'm trying to think if there was some other ones that
It's hard because you feel like, because I'm always like, God, most book adaptations are awful, but then trying to like come down with a list, and I'm like,
that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Oh, and so Alex Cross was Tyler Perry. That's right.
Oh, okay.
So, and Bex did a podcast episode, Why Do We Read This, where Bex compared it to the letters from the imperialists in the Americas, like Columbus and Cortez. So go check that out, everybody. What about Watchmen? Has anyone read Watchmen?
I'm not familiar with the Watchmen at all.
I haven't read the.
I've only seen it. Yeah,
I haven't read the graphic novels. I've seen a few of the episodes, but like I said at the beginning, I've been kind of stressed. So like watching a really stressful show is not what I'm.
Yeah.
Tyler Perry and Tom Cruise are.
They are
practically the same person.
Well, I didn't even know.
I do want to give an honorable mention
Yes.
of, I haven't seen the movie, World War Z. There's well, only because the movie is so different from the book.
That's what I've heard.
The book, and actually I listened to the audio book of it, is fantastic. They had this all-star cast of just amazing actors, and it's done as almost as like a documentary of what has happened after this zombie war. And so the movie is completely different. So I can't really say that it's a terrible adaptation, but it's so different from what the book is that I haven't seen the movie because I don't want to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Oh, I have another bad one. The Percy Jackson movies, I think. See, I have kids, so I'm like, I read these. I thought, and they're kind of widely panned as being really bad adaptations. I mean, I really like Greek mythology, so and I also really like finding these fun little divergence from like classic Greek mythology and ways to make it more accessible to younger people to read it and read the stories. Not all of them, because Zeus is kind of a horn dog.
But
kinda.
Just a little bit. Like if you turn into a swan. Is it a swan? It's been a long time. But the movies, they are so much potential, and they just completely fell flat.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen those. I didn't even see with the one with Jake Gyllenhaal, the Percy Jackson with Jake. Wasn't Jake Gyllenhaal in a Percy Jackson movie?
I don't know if he was in it.
I don't know.
I'm just mixing everybody out tonight. I can't get any actor straight. So,
Maze Runner was a good adaptation. Sorry.
So Carla hated the I didn't know I Know What You Did Last Summer was a book.
Look at Carla bringing her JLH slander to podcasts everywhere.
Yeah, but it's hard because she doesn't like Jennifer Love Hewitt. I don't really have any opinions on Jennifer Love Hewitt. So, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's not scary at all, I don't think.
Yep, not at all.
No. And I know when Sarah Michelle Gellar, she spoke because she was doing Buffy at the same time. And she had to, of course, play someone who was trying to not trying to have a hard time outrunning the killer. And she said it was so hard for her to do because she was so used to like being a badass. So I just think that's a fun little bit of trivia about that. Well, some of mine, and some of these I will say, and I'll do that more towards the end. Well, no, actually, I'll start with the ones that are just somewhat disappointing. Like they aren't horrible. Like I still sort of like the movies or stuff, but they're not anywhere near as good as the books. I'll start with probably the biggest one is Odd Thomas, which Odd Thomas is a Dean Koontz book, and Dean Koontz is my favorite writer. I think Dean Koontz is a lot better than Stephen King. Sorry. That'll come up when we do our.
I'm gonna fight. Stephen King's the best author in the world. I've read 2 of his novellas.
Because I know that's
Stephen
well,
King.
that's a thing you're not supposed to say in the horror community. Is Stephen King is way up here, and then people look at Dean Koontz way down there. But I think Dean Koontz is an amazing writer, and what I love about Dean Koontz is he creates these characters that are so beautiful and lovely and wonderful and weird and strange. And then the way his villains are created, they are so terrifying. So he does good versus evil so well. He also puts in a lot of his books, he loves dogs a lot. And he'll put these amazing dogs in his books. So that's another reason I love him. And Odd Thomas it's a series of books, and it's about this guy named Odd. Because when he was born, the birth certificate was messed up and it was supposed to be Todd and the T wasn't on there. So he was named Odd, and he sees dead people and he helps them. And it's a series of books. And the first one makes me cry. The end, I'm not going to ruin it because I think people should just experience that. But the ending, the twist in the end always makes me cry. And I just think it's a beautiful book. And I think Anton Yelchin did a great job as playing Odd Thomas. I think that was perfect casting. But it just was too cheesy and cornball, and it didn't go for the horror like it needed to. And what they should have done with Odd Thomas is turned it into a TV show, because he's still writing these. I mean, there's even like a graphic novel or a comic book or something that he wrote with this too. So this character is like his most beloved character, I would say. And so that disappointed me. And I will say, I'm just going to say, I can't think of a single Dean Koontz adaptation that is actually good. I think most Dean Koontz adaptations are horrible.
Either.
He also writes, though, Meg, he wrote this book all about one of his dogs, this golden retriever, and it's all about the dog Trixie. And it's a beautiful book. I think you would like it. And it's not at all horror related. It's like autobiographical. And he talks about what he learned from his dog. And it's a very beautiful, yeah. May he rest in peace. Very, very true about Anton. Yeah. He was a great actor who was taken suddenly and way too soon. So he was great. That's not my problem with it at all. And he also writes these children novels that are written.
Children horror.
No. They have nothing to do with horror. They're from the point of view of a dog. And from Trixie writes these books by Trixie Koontz and all these other ones. So if you don't even like horror, go check those out, because he doesn't just write horror. And I just think he's a good writer. And I'm just sad that most of his books are not, good adaptations. I do think this one is kind of a mixed bag, because there's a short story that the movie The Drop was based on, which is with, oh my gosh. Oh, people, how come I forgetting his name? The Tom, he just was in that movie.
Just say it's Tom Cruise. Just say it's not Tom Cruise.
No,
fine. That's what it's gonna be.
Tom in Venom, who plays Venom. Tom, what's his last name?
Tom.
I just want to know, Meg. I want to be able to get this name right.
Tom Cruise.
Tom.
Nope.
Tom Hiddleston.
No. Anyway, we'll come back to it.
Thanks. Could you imagine Tom?
It's like right on the tip of my tongue.
But this is a book that's about
Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. Thank you,
Jesse.
Carla. Thank you, Jesse. Hi, Jesse. Thank you both. We love you too, Jesse. But in this is based on a short story about, there's a drop where like people that are like gangsters or something like that drop money, and there ends up being a little pit bull puppy dropped in the drop, and Tom Hardy's character ends up taking care of it. And, he's like, pit bulls are dangerous. They're evil, awful. And it's all about him finding himself and finding love through this pit bull puppy. And I loved the movie for the fact that it was great to see a story representing pit bulls for what they really are, which are loving, amazing dogs in BSL. I have to get that in there. And so I loved that. And I thought Tom Hardy was great, even though I couldn't remember his name, but he was really great. But it just needed more of the dog, and the story had a little bit more of the dog. So that was my only complaint. I understand why, because it's a dog and they have to work with all these dogs.
That all of your picks have to do with dogs.
They don't all.
Horror and dogs.
It's true. Most of mine do, except for the ones that are better than. But and then here are two that this one is kind of so-so, but the movie The Ruins and the book The Ruins, which a lot of people love the movie The Ruins, and I find that a lot of people that love the movie haven't read the book. And this is a horror book. This is about people, these young kids who go like on a trip, and they're up, like it's like they get infected with this flesh-eating disease. Or have you read this or seen this movie, Paula?
Because
you're the only one on here that was saying.
I was gonna say I love how she doesn't even bother asking me. She's just like,
I know you haven't.
Shut Meg to the side. No.
And it's not horrible, but the book is so good and a lot deeper than the movie. And the movie just goes all out for the gore and it was a lot during the torture porn time. So even though this wasn't a torture porn story, they tried to go into that route, and it kind of just took away from it, frankly. So that's that one. And then the one that I hate, this is the one that I absolutely despise. I know there are other ones I do too, like a lot of the Dean Koontz ones, but this one is Lovely Bones. That was a horrible adaptation.
Yes.
Because that book is beautiful and amazing. And the adaptation ruins everything about the book, ruins everything that was great about that book. That was one of the most disappointing things ever. Yeah,
I can't I see. That's when I read and saw the movie. I can't believe I didn't remember to write it down.
Yeah, that one actually makes me angry thinking about it, because it was so good, and it's not like it wasn't being made by someone who is actually a good director. It just was so poorly done. I didn't think the cast was good. Having Mark Wahlberg as the father in that was not okay for me.
Wasn't Stanley Tucci in it?
Yes, Stanley Tucci was the bad guy. He was.
He was. I thought he did a good job.
He was good, but
yeah.
Oh, are you talking about Room with Brie Larson, Bex? Because I think that's a great movie, but I haven't read the book, so.
Yeah, I haven't seen that movie.
Unless you're talking about the cult classic, The Room with midnight showing. That's
I have another adaptation that I didn't. It's not that I didn't necessarily like it, although I couldn't finish. I'm going to have to finish it because I'm on a panel later this year with you. Was True Blood.
Oh yeah, I haven't read those.
And either. It's not even like I didn't like the show, because I did like the show and I was like obsessed with it when it came out. Like I even bought the blood orange True Blood sodas that they had. It was like $12 for a 4-pack. I was fully in True Blood, but it just was not nearly as good as the books. And even the books, it was like Charlaine Harris, who wrote the Sookie Stackhouse novels. The books were really, really good in the beginning, and then the show came out, and Charlaine Harris was like, well, this is my cash cow. I'm going to keep writing these books long after the story was concluded, and it kind of ruins it. And the show I love Eric Northman, the vampire, and we'll talk about it more when we talk about the True Blood, but that show just did him such a disservice. Like all of the thoughtful, caring things he did for Sookie in the books, they gave to Bill Compton in the show.
Bill Compton. I hate Bill Compton.
Sookie.
Yes,
Sookie. Jesus Christ. And I think I think Anna Paquin did a good job. I think one of the great things the show did that the books didn't do, and I guess spoiler alert if you haven't read the Sookie Stackhouse books, they kept Lafayette, where in the books he died at the end of the first book.
Oh, well,
that was the major improvement. Everything else, I feel like Alan Ball, who was the showrunner for True Blood. See, this is like I'm like fuzzy on names for half of the shit I'm talking about, but this is the one. He had like a crush. I swear to God, he had to have a crush on Bill Compton, because he is like the worst character in the books. He's just a jealous, controlling nightmare, but they made him so much more likable. And I think a lot of it was because Stephen Moyer and Anna Paquin fell in love in real life, and they wanted to kind of keep that chemistry going, but it made me so mad. Give justice for Eric Northman.
Well, see, that's so funny that you're saying that, and this is a preview of what our episode is going to be like, I'm sure. But it's funny that you're saying that because I haven't read the books.
Mm-hmm.
I've only seen the show, and I always preferred Eric over Bill, because Bill Compton to me was controlling and jealous in the show.
Well, and I
hated the performance. I'm sorry, but
I have no time for these. Like when we were talking about Buffy, like we've talked about Buffy a lot. I have no time for these whining, woe is me vampires. Like, you're a vampire. Yeah,
live it up.
Just be a vampire.
Just accept who you are. No one's going to be like, oh, woe is me. They don't even have to bite people. They can drink. Like, stop it. You don't even have to kill people to survive. Why are you being such a whiny little baby? Grow up. You're 180 years old. Like, move on. I'm like very much like an Erica Spike, like embrace the the hotness of Vampy.
This always is interesting to me, Meg, because I know how much you like vampires, and yet you don't like horror. And to me, so many vampire movies are horror films. So I think that's an interesting thing, because especially since it deals so much with blood. And so I don't know what the difference is there.
We could talk about the like pseudosexual nature, I guess, of vampires versus most other horrors. And I think a lot of the times, like most of the vampire stuff that I read vampire books. It's been so long since I watched or read Interview with a Vampire that I don't feel like I could talk about the movie versus book adaptation anymore, because it's been so long since I've read or watched it. But vampires seem to like kill you in a really sexy way.
They are kind of erotic.
They're very erotic.
Yeah.
They're all about
it's very sexual. Mm-hmm. It's very erotic and stuff like that. And I think that it's way sexier than like hacking someone up into pieces, or like putting them in a room and being like, you have to cut off your own foot, or making a human centipede, or, putting on a mask. Although I now have this very weird. I have a very weird affection now, though, for Jason Voorhees, since we did our horror. Like, I'm never gonna watch any of these movies, but look, it's my husband.
And by the way, everybody, we've already mentioned horror, so you can't get that square, but for bingo. But by the way, please remember some of these names and things for our upcoming horror trivia, because these will come up for sure, probably. So yes. And then Jesse brought up Forrest Gump for the book adaptation better than. Okay, so we're gonna get to that soon, I guess. So I don't want to spoil that. Just looking at the comments really quickly, but I think that's all. And I'm trying to think I don't think we've gotten any other bingo squares. I apologize. I think this is going to be a very hard one to get bingo squares on. So I apologize. But whoever gets the most, we'll give one to.
I forgot. Maybe. I'm sorry, Jesse. Forrest Gump is not on my list because I haven't read that book. I just didn't like the movie very much, and I feel like I'm the only person in the world.
I haven't read the book, so
I haven't read the book.
No, okay. And I've only seen the movie like once. I remember it. I thought it was great, but I haven't seen it in years. Yeah.
It is super hard to get bingo tonight. You're right, Bex. So, but maybe we'll get it. I don't know. So now we're going to go on to, and this doesn't mean that you didn't like the book, but to book adaptations that are better than the source material. Meg.
Yeah, sorry,
I should have said a name.
I was reading. Wow.
Jesse's hyping up the episode.
Oh.
He was on the George Michael episode. in the
Jesse, I feel
comments.
like you need to read that Carla said she hated the movie Forrest Gump, and you're being mean to me for saying I wasn't a big fan of it. I'm just gonna. Your friendship with Carla is stronger suddenly, somehow. Anyway.
Oh, Children of Men. Excuse me.
I loved Children of Men. I have not read the book, but I really loved the movie. It was so good. So my betters are going to start with Shawshank Redemption, which, if you didn't, this is one of the Stephen King little novellas I have read, and I can't remember the full name of it. I can't remember the full name of it because it was Rita Hayworth in the Shawshank Redemption.
Rita Hayworth in it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think I mean, it's Shawshank Redemption. I feel like there's not a lot you need to say about it. It's in my opinion, one of the best movies ever made. I think it's absolutely 1,000 times better than its original source. And that's not to say that the novella is bad per se, but Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman and their chemistry and what Morgan Freeman brings to what is a pretty small character in the books. And how it's so good. And it's just, even without an adaptation, it's just one of the best movies, full stop, that I've ever seen. The Green Mile is another one that's based on a series of Stephen King books. See, look at me. See, I read Stephen. I can join your episode. Just take this part. Just take this part and cut it and put it into the other episode and be like, special interview with Meg about the 2 non-horror Stephen King books she's read. But again, oh my God, what is his name? Michael Clark, right?
Michael Clark Duncan.
Was it just, that movie broke my heart.
Sam Rockwell was really creepy.
Sam Rockwell was
that whole cast was just.
It was perfect.
Phenomenal.
It was so well done. And it's one of those things where it's like, this is a series of books. I cannot believe I enjoy a 2.5 hour, 3 hour movie more than a series of books. Cause that's not something that normally happens for me. Normally if there's a series of books, I want a series to go along with it. But it was so beautifully done. James Cromwell, and I cannot remember the woman who plays his wife in it, and it was heartbreaking, and Michael Clark Duncan was amazing in it. Tom Hanks was fantastic in it. And yeah, another one is, and it's been a long time since I've read the book, but The Godfather. I know it's kind of controversial among people who have read Godfather. Like, a lot of people think Godfather, the book is better than the movie. But I personally disagree. I think The Godfather was a fantastic movie, and The Godfather 2 was even better. And that was it. Those are only 2 Godfather movies that exist. So we're going to leave it at that.
I think that's a universal thing.
Yeah. Everyone will agree with me. Anyone who didn't. I'm sorry. I keep trying to look at the comments.
No, I know. Me too. Yeah. Anyone who didn't cry watching Green Mile is dead inside. I do agree, Jesse.
Yeah.
So if you didn't cry, you're dead inside. No.
Why is Carla, Princess Bride is on my list. Can we ban Carla from commenting? Because she keeps stealing. She's not even here. And
you get to go first too. Isn't this?
I know. I get to go first, and Carla's still here in the comments, snaking my stuff.
That's why she's in the comments. She went, ha ha ha.
She was like, yeah, it's like, she told me, I don't have enough opinions about book adaptations. Yes, you do, Carla. I see them all in the comments.
Right?
Now watch, she's going to find a way to hack into our chat and get the link and just pop on. Make a surprise guest appearance. Okay, so, but yeah, Princess Bride. It's been a long time since I've read that book, but the movie is just, it's another perfect movie I love it. It has everything. It has adventure, romance, puns, Andre the Giant. You can't go wrong. I'm sorry. It's amazing. And another one that I think is better than the books, and it doesn't mean I don't like the books, because I do like the books. They're just a bit wordy. Is Lord of the Rings. I think Peter Jackson did an amazing job. I think the movies are phenomenal. Like, even the Fellowship of the Ring, which is mostly just like walking. But I think they are wonderful. This is one of the ones where I will watch the extended editions. Like I have the extended edition still. I don't even have a DVD player anymore, but like I will go buy a DVD player when I want to watch the extended editions. If you can find them, I think you can get them for like $5 at Best Buy. But they're so good. They're so, you can tell when a director or a screenwriter and the actors really love the source material that they're working with. And I think that was very apparent in Lord of the Rings. I think it's something that is also apparent in Outlander. But I could never say the show is better than the books for Outlander because I have a very special relationship with those books. So, but that's my list. Carla, do you want to?
Carla just took one of mine. So you're not alone. I'll let you know which one it is when we come to mine.
I think A Walk to I just responded. I think A Walk to Remember. I really like the book. I really like the movie. I didn't think one was better than the other necessarily. But A Walk to Remember gets kind of panned a lot, the movie, and I
love that movie.
I love that movie. I don't care
so much.
I love it, and I have not read Jurassic Park.
I haven't read
that movie. I was so scared of that movie when I was a kid. I had to leave the theater. This is what I'm a weenie. I was 8 or 9 years old when we went and saw Jurassic Park, and I had to leave the theater in the kitchen scene. Because I was like, you can't stay still. They're still gonna see you. It's not a T-Rex. And I was having a full-blown panic attack in the theater. And my dad was like, here's some money, go buy Mountain Dew.
Oh no.
And sit in the lobby until we're done. I was 9 years old sitting by myself in the movie theater lobby because my dad was like, I'm not leaving.
This is gonna probably cause a lot of hate towards me.
How dare you? I love the books. I love the movies now.
I don't like Jurassic Park.
Oh. I see. I was having a hard time trying to decide if Jurassic Park was better than the book or not, so I didn't put it on my list. Because I kind of love
it now.
Because I love. I love
argue
the
for
book.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Should I say this or should I not say
No,
this?
it's okay. It's okay.
How dare I?
And
how
Meg,
dare
you stole one of mine. You stole one of mine.
I finally got to steal from somebody else. Like, I'm sorry. Well, I would be sadder.
It's okay.
But literally, Carla's in the comments just taking my stuff.
So, Panda, you don't like Jurassic Park either?
Oh.
Thank you. If that's
Aaron,
true.
Aaron has a friend.
I have a friend.
You guys, you are entitled to your wrong opinion. It's okay.
It's like, okay. In that world of horror, sci-fi, thriller, I don't like Jurassic Park, and I don't like Jaws, and those are like the big no-nos. Like, I root for Jaws. I root for the dinosaurs. I think the dinosaurs should kill all the humans. And
I don't think Jurassic Park as a horror movie. Maybe I don't understand. Maybe I don't understand horror. I'm sorry, Jeffrey Goldblum is amazing in that movie. I can't
exactly. I quote him all the time.
I don't know. And then the lawyer, getting eaten off the toilet?
Scene. That was the best. Everybody cheered.
I was like, should I even mention this? I'm gonna get so much hate for this.
Well, you were saying that we were gonna fight, so you were like, they haven't been fighting yet. We're over an hour into this, and there's been no fight. So let me just drop this grenade of wrongness.
Of rightness.
No, wrong.
Wrong. No,
Next.
wrong is not liking Starship Troopers.
And then I don't want to be right. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure I have that on DVD and it's still in the cellophane. Like a friend sent it to me.
taking it out. Just
I know.
throw it right in the trash.
I can't take it out because it's a classic, and I don't want to devalue it by taking it out of the original wrapping.
You can't devalue it anymore.
So wait, I have got Carla doesn't like Jaws. Except for the ride at Universal
I was
Studios.
not a fan of Jaws either, but
I thought I don't know, by the reaction of everybody. So awesome.
No,
awesome.
I'm just upset about the Jurassic Park slander. Like, I can't believe. Like, I left the
Thank
theater,
you, Carla.
so
Thank you. I'm not alone in my Star Trek Troopers hate. Thank you.
Aaron and I are just completely ambivalent because we're like, what's a Starship Trooper?
I think it's so funny that I was like, we're not going to get into any kind of fight, so I am going to cause them.
I'm going to start a fight. Well, here's the best thing. This is how great I am in my cognitive abilities today is when you first said Starship Troopers, I, like, in my brain, the image of Super Troopers came up.
That would have made it a better movie.
And that's when I was gonna be indignant, and I was like, wait a minute, she's not dissing Super Troopers.
No.
That is not an adaptation of it.
Well, look, Bex thinks the ending is trash.
So is the rest of it, but you know.
Well, see, I think my thing with Jurassic Park is make more people hate me than not hate me. They're so short. Yes. So okay. So you haven't given yours yet, have you?
You came with the Jurassic Park slander, and we went on another tangent.
We totally. There's another square, isn't it?
Oh.
No, we already did.
When is the episode where we all go on with Aaron and we're just like, this is why you're wrong about not liking the things that we like. And Aaron will just be like, mute, kick us all out of the studio.
I'm surprised this has not happened yet. So
I can't believe your dislike of Jurassic Park hasn't come up yet. That's insane.
Wow.
I
think it's because I'm worried it'll make me lose people.
She's like, yeah, I want to get you. I want you to I want you to get attached to me before I tell you my wrong opinion.
My opinions that people are wrong about, disagreeing with. Yeah, and Jesse's going to take care of a screaming child. Probably they got upset when they heard everybody defending Jurassic Park.
Jesse, give it some Mountain Dew. I hear that really calms nerves.
I had a friend. Okay, quick story with Mountain Dew, and then I'll get to your picks, Paula. Sorry. Lots of tangents. I want to try and get bingo for somebody. I'm trying to think of a way to do it without being like, I'm just going to say the words, but this won't work with that anyway. But I had a friend who, when she was little, her parents used to give her Mountain Dew because they thought it had no sugar or caffeine in it.
I will tell you that, and
that
when I was a baby, my dad was talking to someone, or no, I wasn't a baby. I was a little kid. My dad was talking to a woman who had a baby, and she was talking about how her baby wouldn't stop crying. So she decided to give her baby, to help it calm down because it was teething, some orange juice, which this is the 80s. So people didn't realize don't give juice to babies quite yet, was to give her baby a little bit of orange juice with just a little bit of vodka in it. And my dad was like, so you give your baby a screwdriver? And she's like, no, it's just orange juice with a little bit of vodka in it. And he's like, yeah that's even for screwdriver. Even in Wisconsin, it was like, that's weird.
And that is a drink mentioned. You're right, Bex.
Ooh, yeah.
Yay!
Look at me. I didn't even know.
Yes.
But yeah, this woman would give her baby a screwdriver so it would go to sleep. I'm like, okay, I guess that's one way to do it.
Well, you've got to do it. You've got to do something.
That kid, that 30-something-year-old person is still in 3rd grade. That was mean. I'm so sorry. That was bad. I shouldn't have said that.
So Carla has managed to both anger and delight each of the panelists so far tonight. So her work is done. Thank you, Carla. Those shorts, what was those shorts about? Was that Starship Troopers?
Super Troopers and like Reno 911, the short shorts. Get them booty shorts.
Yeah.
The plum smugglers. I was really sad today, so I'm really happy that I'm. This is fun now.
Good. I'm glad that you started. So Paula,
okay,
give us some of your opinions.
So
I said it that way.
So it's like, oh boy, buckle up. No, so Meg stole Lord of the Rings because
it's so good.
It is, and my thing with it is not necessarily like I'm gonna get hate for this one. I had a hell of a time getting through the books.
It's tough. There's a
It
lot
was
of just
so
like
hard. I tried so many times to read those books, and I just couldn't do it. I gave up every time I tried reading them. The only way I was able to get through those books was to listen to them
mhm.
while I was working, and even then, I was fast forwarding through them.
Yeah, well, I read the books and I liked them, but it was like you don't need 6
They were
pages to
such a slog. I'm
describe a
sorry.
field.
And it's not that I didn't like the story because I love the movies. The movies are great, but the
Yeah.
movies did, like you said, a fantastic job of cutting out all of the excess that you didn't need, condensing the story, telling the story, even though it's still very long because they had
It's
3
still
movies.
it's still a 15-hour
Still-
story.
Yeah, yeah. And I will also watch the extended versions. I love the story, but the books were just really hard to get through. So that's my reasoning for liking the movies better than the books. I'm not saying the books are not good because, there's a lot of love for the books. I just have very hard time getting through them. And I find that I have that same problem with a lot of fantasy books, and it's not because I don't like the genre, because I do. I just usually prefer the
Well,
movies over the books.
I think so much of it, especially with sci-fi and fantasy, is there's a lot of world building, and it's really hard. It's really hard to do. It's a real talent to do that concisely and really really well. Also, it just the books were just they just took too much time describing stuff. I know what a field looks like. I don't need 18 paragraphs or 4 pages talking about the rolling fields necessarily.
Again, the thing I'm not really going to get the hate for is the songs were killing me. That was one of the biggest things I was fast forwarding through. It's like, oh God, I don't need to hear another one of these. It just. I'm sorry.
I would skim the songs because I'm like, there might be words there might be something I need to know for the books, but
I did. So I know a lot of people were sad that they were not in the movies. I didn't miss them at all. I'm sorry, they didn't need to be there. The books. I mean, yeah. So anyway,
I still
hate me all you want. I stand on my,
all the time. Potatoes.
So, yeah, I do too.
Paula, you're gonna get the Starship Trooper people after you,
and the Lord of the Rings people.
The Lord of the Rings,
and I'm gonna get nobody after me.
Yeah, so I get all the hate this one.
Nobody's coming for me.
It's okay. I'll take all the heat this time.
So really quickly, just because Bex has mentioned this movie like I think 10 times in the or book, is Crime of Padre Amaro, and then also she's mentioned the book with Gael Garcia Bernal.
I'm not familiar with that at all.
But I love him, so I'll have to see that. So
Pillars of the Earth, that was another shitty adaptation. Sorry.
Yeah. So I just wanted
I saw the adaptation, but I haven't read the books on that one.
Yeah, a friend of mine made me read the books, but I really liked them.
Yeah. Okay.
So I liked was it a movie or a miniseries? I can't remember. But
I think it was a miniseries. Because Ian McShane was in it, and I really liked Ian McShane and Eddie Redmayne. And I was just disappointed because
and Rufus Sewell, I think, was in it too.
I love him so much.
Thank you.
So he does not get the love.
I liked the miniseries, but I haven't read the book. So
I think I find that if you watch the show or the movie before you read the books, it's easier to like both of them. I think especially like if you've read the book and if you've read a book a lot of times, then it's really, really hard to kind of take your own mental image about what's going on and be able to shift it to the show or the book. I know that's something that happened a lot, and I'm going to say because Outlander is the closest thing to a fandom that I'm in as far as adaptations, and a lot of Outlander fans were just like, these books have been around since 1991. And it was really, really hard to get your own, like, they're like, I see Chris Hemsworth as Jamie. And I'm like, well, he's a farmer, not like a, anyway.
Yeah.
But they're having, like, they would have a really, really hard time adjusting, like, even the fact that Katrina Balfe's eyes are blue instead of brown. And, like, in the books, her whiskey eyes are something that's talked about a lot. So people were upset, and they were upset that the ring didn't look like how they envision it. So, but I feel like if someone who starts watching the show Outlander or watches the movie before they read the book, it's a lot easier to to superimpose stuff from like the movie or the show to the book than it is to adjust your own mental image.
Well, and I find a lot of times if I see a movie or a TV show that I've really liked, I want to know, is there a book that this was based on, so I can go, because there's always more in the book that I want to see. So I kind of like seeing the movies first.
That's a good point.
And then getting more in depth with the book. That way I don't get that bias and then get really disappointed with the movie that happens so often. But my other one,
I wrote it down, Bex. I'm gonna watch it.
My other one, Hunger Games. I liked the movies better than the books. I really enjoyed the first book, but as the series went on, the books kind of fell off for me. And I know, oh God, I'm blanking on her name, the author's name.
Suzanne Collins.
Yeah, Suzanne Collins. I know she was involved with the movies, which I think it's always great when the author is involved with the adaptations, because I think it helps to make the adaptations truer to that. But for some reason there was just something better about the movies that I can't quite place it, but they were just that much better. Yeah.
Well, and my whole thought with that was because they were in my like book adaptations that I really, really loved, because I do really like the books. But I think Jennifer Lawrence was just like spot on for Katniss Everdeen. I thought she did such a great job. I think Josh Hutcherson, he's like a little pocket. I want to just put him in my pocket because he's adorable. But he was a great Peeta.
Yeah.
The only complaint I had about the adaptation versus the book was, frankly, I don't think they made Gale a big enough douchebag in the movies, because he sucked. Like he sucked in the books. And I was like, I'm a grown adult when these movies came out, but all these girls were like, I love Gale because he's Liam Hemsworth is a Hemsworth.
Yeah.
But it's like he sucks, and you don't get to kind of see as much of that in the movies as you do in the books. But I loved them.
And I one of the things that I liked better about the movies was the end. The ending in the book just didn't give the impact that I think she was going for. And I think they did a much better job with it in the movie. It came across much better, because by the end of it, I mean, she's suffering from PTSD, obviously. I mean, from everything that they've gone through, and I think that came across much better.
Yeah.
In the screen version,
I think they did a great job with Peeta when he was.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. And
I'm gonna watch the Hunger Games.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think just on the written page, I didn't really like Katniss that much as a character, but when I saw her on the screen, I did like the character better. So I think that might have had something to do with it too.
And I didn't read the books, but this was like for a long time, these movies were my birthday movies, because they'd always come out right around my birthday is November 29th.
Yeah.
So they'd always come out around Thanksgiving. And so I'd always go on my birthday to see them. So it was sad when it was over. And with the Gale thing, I want to comment on that, because I liked her with Peeta. I was like, that's the perfect combo.
Yes.
But
you're on the right side this time, Erin.
Yes. My dad and I went and saw those every year on my birthday too, because they came out. My birthday's in December, so that was kind of our tradition.
Team penis.
But you know what's funny, and that's why I think it's interesting you say that, because my mom and my sister were both the opposite. They were like, how can you like him? And I'm like, how can you like Gale? And I didn't realize that he was so different in the book.
Well,
that he's different.
It's not different. You just see more. I think it's because of who's playing him, because Liam Hemsworth is very attractive. Josh Hutcherson is also a very attractive man, but he's shorter, which fine. But I think The only arguments that they had against PETA, anyone I've talked to, was that he was like they kept calling him a simp. I'm like, are you kidding? Look how strong he is. Like
Yeah.
And the movie didn't demonstrate like his physical strength nearly as well as the book did, because he was a baker's son and he like was used to throwing 100-pound bags of flour like they were nothing. But yeah, I don't understand Team Gale people. I don't get it. I just tell them that they're wrong.
That's what I said. We had a whole argument about it. It's like the only time I think I've argued with both my sister and my mom about some sort of romantic pairing. But Carla said she actually liked Katniss better in the books than in the movies.
Is it because you don't like Jennifer's, Carla? No, I'm just kidding.
She doesn't like Jennifer Love Hewitt, doesn't.
I don't know how she feels about Jennifer Lawrence one way or the other. I think I can see where you're talking about liking Katniss better in the books, because part of me does too. I especially when books are told from first person perspective, it's really hard to adapt that into a movie and still get all of the nuance and the thought process, and to understand why Katniss is doing what she's doing and why she's making these choices. She's meh. About J-Law.
I think Jennifer Lawrence is a great actress. I think she's given some amazing performances. Like, she's in one of my favorite Silver Linings Playbook. But I think she's a very problematic person in real life. But I think she's a very good performer. But did you have any other ones on your list, Paula?
No.
Like, do you have anything else you want me to jump in on and like just take over?
No,
I really couldn't think of any other ones. I was racking my brain and I couldn't think of any other ones.
I was having a hard time.
I'm going to think of like 10 after we're done, of course, but you know.
I had a hard time with that specific of like better than adaptations, because that's why I had so many that were on the list of like, I really, really love them, because I also really, really love the source material. Yeah. But it's the same for the better, except, I mean, the only two I was like, absolutely, or three was Princess Bride, Shawshank Redemption, and The Green Mile. Those were just like no-brainers for me.
Well, see, I would say Princess Bride, but I haven't read the book, so I can't say it.
Don't worry about it.
Princess Bride's a perfect movie, so
it's a perfect movie.
It's a perfect movie, hands down. Period. End of story.
Even Carrie Elwes, when they were talking about remaking it, and Carrie Elwes tweeted, "It's like rare to get a perfect movie or something like that, quote, except breasts instead." But anyway, it is the perfect movie.
Yeah. Well, Carla said that's exactly it. Her problematicness, Jennifer Lawrence, has tainted enjoyment. Yeah, and I understand that. I mean, there are a lot of people that are like that. Well, my list for this is actually pretty long, except for I had a Walk to Remember, and Carla took that, and we've already spoken about that, so I won't talk about that one. The Notebook was already somewhat mentioned. I think The Notebook is better because I frankly don't think any of his books are good, so that's my problem. I think his books are awful and horrible. So I just
what's the one with, is it Safe Haven or something with Josh Duhamel? That one was really good. There's actually there's a Destiel fanfic. Yes.
I know that. Did they ever finish it?
They never
Which
finished
one is it?
And I'm so sad. I think it's like A Place to Call Home or something like that. I can't remember. I will send you the link to it, but it's not finished. So, and it's been years. I saw they updated it a couple of years ago, and it had been like a year or two since they'd updated it. So and I got so excited, and then nothing. I'm like, this is why I don't read whips. I can't handle it. Also, that's a fanfic, a bingo card mention, right? Fanfic.
Oh, yeah.
Fanfic, yeah.
And we talked about fandoms. We talked about fandoms.
Yeah. So there you go. Maybe that gives you bingo. And I'll go over what we have in a second, because we're actually going to add another one here shortly with one of the ones I'm going to mention. Bingo spot. So you have a bingo spot. You don't have bingo. Is that correct, Bex? But here are some of mine. I think A River Runs Through It is 1,000 billion times better than because I think the story is so boring. It's so boring. And I think the movie's really good. And I want to say, I think Brad Pitt is okay in it, but I think Craig Schaefer is so incredibly good in that movie. And I think he's such an underrated actor. I talked about him before on another episode. I love him. So I think that movie's really good. I think it's so much better. I think Brokeback is good. I think the short story is good too, but I think Brokeback is 10,000 times better.
I haven't read that one.
I haven't.
It's a really quick read. So
the movie breaks my heart.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and this is probably controversial, I don't know, but I think Christine, the adaptation of Christine, the Stephen King one, that John Carpenter did, I think that movie's brilliant anyway. I know a lot of people hate on that movie. I think it's a great movie, and I think that's 100 times better than the book. I don't think the book is very good, but I think that movie is excellent.
I'm always
Well, it was
curious
his
to know what
first
your
novel.
thoughts
The
are on
first
it.
novels are never as good as, later.
Yeah. But I mean, people hate on that movie all the time, so I want to give it a shout out because I think that movie is so good because, well, it's John Carpenter, he's the king, but I just think it's a really good movie anyway. So
I'm curious about your thoughts on it, but I don't know if it's something that you have on your list.
I don't have it on my list. I have not read the book, so I can't speak to that. But I mean, I think it, but I'll just speak to the movies really quickly since you brought it up. I love the Tim Curry one because it's Tim Curry, and I thought that was a great miniseries. And I think the recent movies are really good too. I think those are really good as well. So that's all I'll say. As I think they're actually pretty good. I think they're really well done. I think they're pretty creepy. I will say, as opposed to Dean Koontz, I think adaptations of Stephen King stuff is usually better than the books. Like I'll enjoy them a lot more than I will reading a Stephen King book.
Stephen King adaptations are very hit or miss, though. They're either really good or really suck.
Yeah, but I mean, I just have more that I think are hits than misses with him.
But you don't like Stephen King.
but I'm not a big Stephen King. Yeah, I like some of his books, like I like Pet Sematary and I like Misery and stuff. But I'm not like, I think a lot of his books, like I've never been able to finish The Stand because it just is too long, and it just gets boring to me. But certain ones but you'll hear all my. I'm going to lose so many people during that Stephen King episode. I was so hesitant to do that, but then we're going to be talking about Stand By Me, which of course is an adaptation of The Body, the short story. The Shining is amazing. I do agree, but I love the movie. I think the movie is great. I think Dr. My gosh, Doctor Sleep. I think Doctor Sleep is one of the best horror movies that has come out in the last decade. And that's like the sequel to The Shining, and I think that one is so good. And Ewan McGregor is incredible in that movie, so I want to shout out to that one. And then I will save my most controversial one for last because I think this one will be really controversial. My last one. This one might get you bingo. So I think the adaptation of Out of Sight, starring George Clooney. So there's George Clooney.
I think 1/3 of the episodes I'm on with you, you talk about Out of Sight and how sexy that movie is.
I just talked about it on our Women in Erotic but I think the adaptation is so much better than the book, and it's no offense to the book because I know everybody loves that book and the writing, but I think what they added to it, because I actually had to analyze it for film school. I had to take the script and analyze it against the novel, and they added some stuff that that frankly there were some racist undertones in the book, to be honest, and so they changed a lot of that, where it kind of, at least in my opinion, there were where that kind of got eliminated. So I think that one is really good. So I don't know if that got you bingo, Bex, but there you go. And then this is probably going to be my most controversial opinion. I think maybe
more than not liking Jurassic Park. That's why she brought up Jurassic Park. So this one won't be as bad.
So I think the adaptation of Interview with a Vampire is so much better than the book.
I haven't read or watched either of them, so
it's been so long, but I love the movie, so I'm not going to get mad at you. Yeah. I'm gonna let you talk.
Tom Cruise is so good in that movie. I do. I think he is the perfect Lestat. I know people hated him in that movie and thought he was the wrong casting choice. I thought he was great. I thought he was terrific. I mean, yes, that does have a whining, sniffling, vampire in it, of course. And of course, that movie also got a lot of attention because, Christian Slater, of course, was cast as the interviewer after River Phoenix sadly passed away. So
Mhm.
I know other, people also, I think that also tainted some of it for people. But I know the big thing was Tom Cruise. And I thought Tom Cruise was excellent. And I think the movie started going downhill a little bit when Tom Cruise was gone. And he was so good. I think he was just eating up the scenery. See, this is the thing. I think Tom Cruise is bizarre in real life and he's in a cult and all this stuff, but I actually think he's a really good actor, and I
love
love
it. We've on one hand we're talking about the problematicness of J-Law making it so it's hard for you to enjoy her work, and then like
Again,
I know
but
Tom Cruise is in a cult and everything like that, but I just love him so much. Kirsten Dunst is amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
she's
sorry.
good too.
In that, and that was probably, and obvious, of course, she's the scariest part about, frankly, in my opinion, that whole movie.
Yeah,
I have a thing with kid vampires make me nervous, especially when I was talking about like how sexual vampirism is, and then there's a kid. I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm a little manic.
So I guess that didn't get bingo. So I apologize. I thought that might have gotten bingo.
I have another. I think Clueless is a fantastic adaptation of
yes.
Emma. I
Mhm.
think it's.
I
I think Emma lends itself to a lot of really, really good adaptations, more so I think than Pride and Prejudice in a lot of ways. I think it's so hard to find the right balance for Pride and Prejudice with Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth to not make Darcy seem like just a total asshole. Because he is for a lot of it, but it's really hard to translate that kind of onto the screen, especially when you're trying to. I think Bridget Jones's Diary did a really, really good job of adapting Pride and Prejudice, both the book and the movie. And I would probably say I like the movie Bridget Jones's Diary better than the book Bridget Jones's Diary. But I just wanted to mention Clueless because I think it's fantastic. There are also some movies that I love that I haven't read the books for, like Schindler's List. I have not read the book of Schindler's List because the movie broke my heart so bad. I don't know if I could handle reading the book, to be perfectly honest. Carla held back.
Bex, I agree. 10 Things I Hate About You is a great adaptation.
Yes,
through. Yeah.
That was. I actually think the movie O was a great adaptation of Othello. And I think Josh Hartnett is. I love Josh Hartnett. I'm a huge Josh Hartnett fan.
I bumped into him a few times when I was in college.
You did? Like, physically bumped into him? Yeah,
once. I physically. Anyway, I was at a party. But I think there are some amazing Shakespeare adaptations. I can't even believe I didn't put any of them on my list.
I know, and I didn't either. That's weird.
I think part of it is because it was their plays, so it kind of feels like they already lend themselves to be put on a screen. I really, really liked Midsummer Night's Dream with Stanley Tucci as Puck and Michelle Pfeiffer and Rupert Everett. I like it. I'm not saying it's like great, but I really, really liked it. But yeah, other fun stories. So Mean Girls is a book, but I haven't read Mean Girls. But that movie's awesome.
Yeah. Season 1 of Sons of Anarchy.
What is season 1 of Sons of Anarchy based on?
What does that have to? Yeah, what is that based on? Yeah, because I tried to watch Sons of Anarchy, I will say, and you would think that would be up my alley, and for some reason, I just could not get past how mean and cruel it was. And I'm usually okay with that stuff. I'm like, be as mean and cruel as you want.
Be mean, but not like that.
Sometime we will have to do play adaptations, though, because I think that would be a really good discussion.
Yeah.
And we can put musicals in there. Oh, it's Hamlet.
Oh, Hamlet.
Oh, see,
interesting.
I think The Lion King might be my favorite Hamlet adaptation, if I'm being perfectly honest.
Yeah, that's a good one.
They did such a good job. I used to like the Mel Gibson one from time to time because I liked Mel Gibson, and then Mel Gibson went. We all know. We all know what happened with Mel Gibson, and talk about tainting anything that you like from someone. Like, talk about totally screwing yourself, so I can't watch any of your shit anymore. But I thought Lion King was a great adaptation. I think it was such a good way to bring Shakespeare in a way that kids could watch and digest. Because Shakespeare, and I used to get mad when I saw, like, there are books where it's like Shakespeare plays in emojis and texts, basically. Good night, Panda.
Good night.
And I first got very like, oh, how dare. But then I remember, like, William Shakespeare wrote for the common person. He didn't write. I don't think he would be thrilled with being kind of lauded up here and not being accessible to everybody. And those adaptations, I think, do a really good job. Like the Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes, Romeo and Juliet. I know. Erin's ready to fight me now. I just saw her. Like, I saw you visibly have a stroke on the screen.
We just talked about this one and how much I hate that movie.
I kind of hate it too. I'm not gonna lie.
And here's
I'm not even
necessarily saying. I'm not even necessarily saying, like, I have an opinion one way or another about the movie. I'm talking about being able to make Shakespearean stories accessible for people who don't have a PhD or don't understand how to read his plays. And I think regardless of how you feel about the Leonardo DiCaprio and Claire Danes version, you have to give credit to it where it had a lot of people who wouldn't normally be interested in Shakespeare. And it was an adaptation that I think William Shakespeare would have approved of because he wanted it to speak to everybody, to the common person. He was accessible to everybody. And I think regardless of how you feel about it, I personally really, really liked it. I don't like the story of Romeo and Juliet because it frustrates the hell out of me, but I thought it did a really good job. And I think unlike the previous adaptation, you could actually believe that these were young adults, and it did such a good job of making people be able to understand the story and not being so puffed up on itself.
You know, though, I will say one thing. I remember,
and Bex agrees.
I remember when that was out, I was living in Boulder and my roommate worked in a movie theater and I worked at Blockbuster, and it was the best because we got free entertainment all the time. And there were a lot of people actually that walked out of that movie and left because they're like, this isn't in English and there's no subtitles. How am I supposed to understand that? So I will say that.
And that breaks my leg. So I was a theater major. I've done Shakespeare, and like I got really good reviews because I did one of the last plays I actually ever performed in was a comedy of errors, and I played Adriana. And like I feel like a lot of it is if people don't understand what you're saying as an actor doing Shakespeare, you're not doing a good job as an actor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, because I know how much time I spent studying my lines, the books, and figuring out exactly. So these are the words my character is saying. This is what I mean, and this is what I need to get across from it. And if people were unable to get that, then that was on me, not necessarily on them, because it's not so. People feel like Shakespeare is so inaccessible because it is in Elizabethan English. But the themes and the stories are very common and they are very universal. And I feel like that's kind of why, like, 10 Things I Hate About You does such a good job with Taming of the Shrew. But I don't think, and I mentioned A Midsummer Night's Dream, and like I said, I'm not necessarily saying it's a good movie, but that was the original text. For the most part, I think. It's been a long time since I saw it. But they did a really good job of getting the point of the story across. So you could understand what was going on.
And that's why I think like was so good. I thought,
yeah.
And I know a lot of people put that one down, but I think And I remember, I think it got delayed a little bit because I think it was supposed to come out right after Columbine happened. And then they delayed it, of course, because there's shootings in there in a high school. It's not in the high school that happens. Of course, spoilers for Othello, for a movie from.
It's been 400 years.
Right.
I'm sorry if you don't know the story. This is your own fault. It's not even. You don't even have to pay for it. You don't even have to go to the library. It's just.
And I think there's a scene in O, and this speaks to Josh Hartnett. I think it also speaks to Josh Hartnett's performance, but I think it also speaks to someone getting Shakespeare. And there's a scene where you see Josh Hartnett sitting outside his father in the movie adaptation is like a basketball coach, and he's trying to get his father's attention all the time, but he can't get it because O is like the big star. And of course, I mean, everything is the story, but he's sitting out there and he's got his jacket on, and he kind of slowly zips his jacket up and shrinks into his jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no words, and it's just such a beautiful scene because it wraps up perfectly who this character is and where he's coming from. And it's kind of the scene that without that scene, I think it wouldn't tie the whole movie together, honestly, because I think it kind of catapults his character. It gives you a bird's eye view into who he's going to become. And it's a heartbreaking, even though he's a bad guy, he's not a good guy, but at that moment it's heartbreaking. And I just think it's a beautiful, beautiful scene. And I think that movie is so underrated. And I'm glad
it's been a long time since I saw that, but I remember watching it and I really, really liked it. And I think, and I do have a soft spot for movies where they take old text and they keep the text and the words and put it into a modern setting, like with O and the basketball and stuff like that. Because I don't know if you knew this, but that was not in the original. They were not basketball players.
No way.
Sure.
I know, it's crazy. But yeah, the only thing I really like about the entire show or the entire play of Romeo and Juliet is Mercutio. When he dies, that's like the best. A pox on both your houses. Like, I could go on. I mostly want to talk about stuff that I haven't read the books of, but I like the movies, like Stardust. I love that movie. That movie gets crapped on so much, and I don't understand why. It's so, like, I love Neil Gaiman, and I just haven't read Stardust yet.
She-Rock and Listeria.
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 Sorry. Oh my god. Listerata. I apologize. Anyway, sorry. But I think we did some great ones. Unless was there anything you wanted to add in, Paula, really quickly before?
Mm-mm.
Okay, because I do think we'll have to do plays. Maybe we'll just do one even about Shakespeare, because I think we could just do a whole episode about Shakespeare. We are going to
so many adaptations. You could
Right?
absolutely
Yeah.
do an
Yeah,
entire
definitely.
episode just about Shakespeare.
Yeah, and
Billy Shakes, as I like to call him.
And we are going to be talking about 10 Things I Hate About You next year, by the way, everybody. That is on the
Yay.
schedule.
Put me down.
Me too.
Okay. I don't know if I have, but I will. Okay. So let me just make a note in my head. Hopefully I'll remember. But yes, we're going to be
You
talking
haven't
about
released the spreadsheet yet, so.
No, that's why I haven't released it yet, because I don't want people to sign up yet. So yes, so we will be doing that next year. We're going to be talking about a couple of Heath Ledger things, just to let you know. So we're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be talking. We're going to be doing a whole month celebrating Christian Bale, since he is our unofficial mascot. So we kind of have to celebrate him. So we're going to be celebrating him for a whole month.
So when you do Public Enemies, I'll be there.
We weren't planning on doing that.
You're gonna do it because
So you
I
have
was
to
in that movie. I was in it. I am 0 degrees from Christian Bale.
That's how we're supposed to be getting Christian Bale on this podcast, because we have to have Christian Bale on here, and we have to have Carla help me interview Christian Bale.
I'll have my people call his people.
Yes.
I'll find people.
But we're going to talk about the Dark Knight trilogy, of course. And so, of course, that will lead to talking about Heath Ledger again. So there might be some crying. I mean, it is me, so I'm sure that'll happen. I surprisingly enough did not cry when we did Brokeback and talked about Heath Ledger. I was shocked. Christian Bale just told Carla that he's a veteran.
I don't know why I'm the connection to Christian Bale. Carla knows him much better. They're just
That's
hanging
true.
out. They're hanging
hang
out
out
watching
together,
this
right?
live stream together.
Hi, Christian Bale. And Bex wants all these episodes, so thank you. Yes, it should be exciting. So, but what we're going to talk about now, really quickly, is we're going to talk about our horror trivia event. We're also going to unveil, and this will be on social media after this, a little bit after this. We're going to unveil our official horror logo that was designed by Aaron Amos. It's a play on our other one, but Aaron Amos did this, and it's so incredible. I mean, honestly, I
It's
want
amazing.
this.
It's so good,
It's
guys.
So good.
Yes, and see, Aaron, I'm gonna have to let you know that everybody loves this because I know she worked really hard on this, and she tweaked it and tweaked it and tweaked it and tweaked it so long, and she kept tweaking it even after she sent it to me, and I went, "This is amazing." So, just so you know, and I guess Christian is really upset with us, but we're sorry, Christian Bale.
I'm trying to get her to do your best performance in the greatest movie that you were in, Christian, of Public Enemies, where I, again, was in it. You can see me, and I think I've watched it twice. One time I watched it with my grandma. She bought a DVD player and this was in 2000. This was in 2008 or 2009, I think is when it came out. And she bought a DVD player just so she could watch it, so she could see my face on the screen, because you can see me. You can very clearly see me through the court scene. And then there's a part where I am flash there, so we had to freeze frame by frame. Aww. So she could see me. So we're doing it, Aaron. I don't care.
Wow. I feel like we have to now. I'm like,
right?
It was not on there. I was like, we're gonna do the Dark Knight trilogy. We're gonna do The Machinist. And now I can't remember.
Thank you, Christian. I treasure our connection too. Now you had to put that one on.
Oh, Christian, we love you. It's funny to me how much he's become. Anyway, so here I'm going to put up now our horror logo. This will be available starting September 1st, so it's going to be in our Redbubble store. If you sign up for horror trivia, for our horror trivia event, and you're going to be a contestant, every single contestant is going to get a pin with this logo on there. So just keep that in mind. You're going to get one of these. So this is very exciting. Here it is. I think it's incredible. I love it.
I love it. So I can't be a contestant for a myriad of reasons, but I'm gonna make you send me one of those pins anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I think it's absolutely incredible. I think she did an amazing job. I saw it in different stages. There was it was the same kind of version, but there was different coloring, and what she did was just incredible. Yeah, isn't it great, Bex?
Yeah. Throw it up on the Redbubble so we can buy it.
Oh, please, yes.
It is. It's going to be there starting September 1st.
Yes.
So it's definitely going to be there.
I want it in time for Halloween.
Right?
Yes. So Christian Bale wants to buy a T-shirt with the horror logo for Carla. It's the least he can do. That's true. It's literally the least he can do after eating all of her snacks. That's really rude, Christian. And now in the comments, I'm going to put this here, and then this is going to be available by the time this drops. This is going to be our only episode this week, but this will be available on social media. I'm going to put this up tonight. Here is the horror trivia information. So this is a link to a Google Doc that you will be able to link. Everybody can view it. And this goes over the rules. And one of the rules, of course, is this does cost money to enter this one, but I am going to make it worth your while. Everybody's getting something. So you're not going to not get something, even if you don't win. It's just kind of have to do it this way. If you do end up if you're a subscriber before August 1st, let me know, and you'll let me know when you sign up. It has to be the same email though, so it can't be a different email address. This is only open to US and Canada. I apologize, but that's just the way it is. If you aren't in the US, the way you could maybe work around this is if you have your teammate, since this is a team event, so it'll be 2 people per max 2 people. And the reason it's 2 people is because since this is a 10-week event and one person from the team has to be there for each portion, for each night, I wanted to make sure that if not the whole team couldn't show up for each night, that at least one member could. So it's a mixture of weeknight and weekends. That was another reason I did that. We have some great podcast guests line up. Bex is going to be on an episode too. So Bex is going to be on our which one did I put? Oh my gosh. Oh, psychological horror. So Bex is on the psychological horror one. I know Paula is going to be on a couple of them. I mean, of course, the other panelists too. And Paula is going to be helping a lot with keeping track of score, and you'll see how the score is going to work on there. There will be more information as far as like what the prizes are going to be and stuff by the time the first one airs, which is the first one is on September 4th. But like I said, you're going to be getting, I mean, there are pictures in that document of stuff we picked up at the 5280 store here in Colorado. That is an 80s store that is in the most amazing store in the world. And I got some great 80s horror stuff in there. And so I'm going to try and get some more. You will, there is going to be first, second, and third place prize because I think since it's such a long event, I think it's only fair to do first, second, and third, just to let you know.
I'm going to let you know right now, I'm going to horn in on the vampires.
You are going to be on there?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the topics and I'm like, there's one.
So I'm going to sign you up then to be one of the panelists then, because you're not signed up. So, I'm signing you up right now. So that
I was just looking to where I can sign up on our stuff, and it's just because I'm a doofus.
So I'm going to write that that's tentatively full right now. Sorry, everybody. This is behind the scenes stuff. But if you aren't in the US and you really, really want to participate in this, because I know that might upset some people because we do have listeners that aren't in the US, but because of reasons, it's going to be just open to that. But if you aren't, find somebody who is, if you need a trivia partner and if someone's looking for it, or if you need some help finding someone, I will, and maybe they can ship you this stuff. So that's how you might be able to get around it, but I won't be able to send you any stuff if you are not in the US or Canada. So apologies, but that's the way it will have to be for this one. Maybe that'll change if we do it again, but I think this will be a lot of fun. We're going to have costume contests. So everybody that's on the panel will be dressed up as well. I'm asking that they dress up in theme. We're going to have themed cocktails, and you can make virgin versions of them. That made Meg very excited. So
that's how you're going to get me into a costume.
I know. We're going to have themed cocktails. And when we say on here dressing as up in a costume, and that'll give you more points if you do that. When we say in theme, it doesn't mean for like Vampire Week you have to dress as a vampire. You could dress as like one of the Coreys from the Lost Boys. So for instance, so you don't have to. It just has to revolve around that theme. So I'm excited about that part too, because I think that'll make it a lot of fun. We do have some great people that are going to be on, some great guests. We have some like Jen from My Streaming Bubble is going to be on. We have Rachel from Sort of Brilliant is going to be on. And we have some other people that haven't, who's going to Paxman from the Lost Boys. Someone has to do that, everybody. Someone has to dress
I vote Carla. She brought it up.
Someone has to do that for Carla. Someone has to dress up as the sax man from the Lost Boys. Because if you don't know, if you didn't listen to our George Michael episode, Carla does not like the saxophone. And this has also become a bone of contention between Carla and my mom, because my mom loves the saxophones. Easy costume, ponytail, Vaseline, fake sax. Yeah.
I'm basically there already.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but anyway, it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm just really excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. We've got some people that haven't confirmed yet if they're going to be on or not. We are, like I said, Neil Frazier is probably going to be on, probably the last one, who he designs amazing poster art. Like I said, we're going to have some poster art available as a prize. And then also Green Shirt Podcast, we're going to have them on for Aliens. So it's just going to be so much fun. And I'm just really excited about it. Music mentioned, that's true, but still no bingo.
Clearly, Bailey is the only person who can win bingo, it seems.
I know. So yeah, so it's just, so I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited about it. And so remember, those, that opens up really quickly. I cannot believe August is almost here. So August 1st opens up really quickly here. I'm going to close out again after we all say our goodbyes with the horror promo video again. It's so I wanted to close out with that as well. Again, I don't we do still sort of have room for people to be on if you're creators, but not necessarily. So that's kind of full. But please still reach out to me, because that could change. If you're a horror creator or you host a horror podcast, please feel free to reach out to me as well. If you have any prizes up for grabs, we still have some room for some prizes. If you want to offer anything or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to us as well on that. And you'll see the email on the video, but it's our email, it's a fandomthingpod@gmail.com, or you can reach out via social media. That's fine too. So it's going to be exciting. So we're going to go ahead and close out here and have everybody say where they can be found. I know when Meg says where she's going to be found, sorry, I got distracted by a message Meg sent me. Yeah. But there's one part that you always do something that is a bingo card. So Meg, where can they find you and Bedwed or Behead?
Well, you can find my podcast with Carla. Wait, this way. There we go. Bedwed or Behead. It's not mirrored, so I'm having a real hard time. You can find us mostly on the Twitter at Bedwed Behead Pod. You can find Carla on her sofa next to Christian Bale. And I think we're also on Insta at bed.wed.behead.pod. I clearly do not handle the social media for Bedwed Behead. That's a Carla thing, so I don't know all of the handles. I'm amazing. But if you want to hear my personal thoughts or read my personal thoughts about random shit, you can find me on the Twitterverse at Wisconsinach, which is WISCONSENNACH. And again, blame Carla and Christian Bale for giving me that nickname many, many moons ago. And if you know where I can watch all of the Hunger Games, because I don't think it's on Netflix. Is it on HBO?
There's another one.
Oh, was it?
Yes, HBO Max is on.
Please tweet me at Wisconsin if you know where I can watch the Hunger Games. Because, like I said, I don't have a DVD player, and I have a whole wall of DVDs and no DVD player.
Oh no!
I need is it on Disney Plus? There's another one for.
Is anybody who's on Hunger Games also in Queer as Folk?
Well, I can tell you where it's not. It's probably not on Shudder.
The only thing those movies are lacking are really, really sexy accountants. That hot IRS tax man.
Okay, this has to get you a bingo. I'm going to be so sad if this doesn't get a bingo.
Oh, here we go. What I love about Hunger Games, the male gaze is not a big thing in the Hunger Games, which I love. We're just going to keep going until someone gets a bingo. I got a card pulled up now, and I'm like, all right.
That's hilarious.
But no, so honestly, for Bedwed Behead, our last episode that we just released last week is about Knives Out, which is a fucking hilarious... It went so long and I didn't say. It's a really, really funny movie. There's a bingo card. Meg swears by accident.
I should really
Meg drops the F-bomb inadvertently. But
Carla's a bingo. Carla's a bingo.
Hey-oh, bingo, Carla. And our next one that's coming out is actually about the Marauders, from Harry Potter, which is very interesting since, as we previously discussed. So if you want to hear my Wikipedia opinions about Marauders on Harry Potter, that's coming out too.
Awesome. And so Bex was waiting for someone to sing. So Paula, do you want to sing?
No, not really. Nobody really wants to hear me sing. No.
Your goodbye.
I'm singing for you, Bex.
Dance, monkey.
We'll give Bex and Carla something because Carla is a frequent panelist. So we're gonna give Bex something too. So there we go.
I'm sorry, my dogs
Carla,
are
you
really
win.
well behaved tonight, and they're not barking.
It's okay. So Paula, where can everybody find you? Where can people find you?
On Instagram and Twitter, not so much on Instagram, more on Twitter. It's my sandbox.
Yes. Awesome. No. Oh, I was for some reason I was waiting for you to say much more.
Nope, that's it. That's all I got.
Oh, Bex got
I think
bingo anyway,
I think I used it all on Starship Troopers.
Meanwhile, like, yeah, you can find me and then let me go on this whole other weird tangent, spew out bingo card words, and 30 minutes later, I'm done signing out.
Well, this is Erin. I said it like that, but you can follow me on the Twitter at @AprilBeauty. The E and the
Twitter. I missed you, Erin.
I missed you too, man. But that's it.
That was a perfect. You guys, this is a perfect sign out. I think we're doing a great job.
I think so too. It's
I'm
going
really
very
proud
well.
of us.
I'm
proud of us.
I'm very impressed. And that's the E and the A and the B are capitalized. And whenever
I don't think anybody remembers. I don't think anybody remembers your handle after I started laughing about the Twitter.
Well, it doesn't really matter, but you can follow me on there. I'm probably not as active anymore because Carla finished her Queer as Folk and Bates Motel. There's another one, even though we got bingo, but she finished her watches of those, and I know she was heartbroken, and I was heartbroken too because it was so much fun following along with those. So
she's gonna start Downton Abbey. It'll be great.
That'll be awesome. Yes. What was it again?
Hashtag Carlton Abbey.
Carlton. Thank you. Hashtag. So get that trending, everybody. Come on.
Hashtag Carlton Abbey. Not to be confused with Carlton on Downton Abbey.
Dilemma for life. Yep. Yes, that's Dylan and Emma. So yeah. So yes. I agree. Hashtag that. Okay. So we are definitely going to get that trending. Okay. Sorry. You can follow me on Twitter, like I said, at @AprilBeauty. Be sure to like the show on Facebook at facebook.com/itsafandom_thing_pod, on Twitter at fandomthingpod. No, it's in that one. On Instagram at itsafandom_thing_pod. If you have any feedback, if you want to discuss everybody else's wrong opinions, not mine, feel free to reach out to us at It's a Fandom Thing Pod at
You can find her at @AprilBeauty. The E and the A and the B are capital. And please tell her about how terribly wrong her opinions about the seminal classic Jurassic Park
Absolutely
is. And then explain the plot of Starship Troopers to me.
It'll be a great conversation.
Because I don't remember.
But we're not going to have an episode next week, and we're not going to have a live stream because I know it's the first time since we started this in December that we haven't had an episode.
No.
So I am actually being smart and deciding it wouldn't be smart for me to do this because I'm not going to be around, and I'm going to be near an ocean. So I'm very happy about that. But so we're taking a week off, just a week. But after that, we're going to be back with Ryan Murphy So
Not the actual man.
yeah, we're not. Yeah, he's not going to be on.
Unlike Christian Bale, we don't actually have Ryan Murphy on this show.
Sorry,
very
yeah,
often.
Ryan Murphy won't be on, but
I thought you were taking off this week for my birthday, but that's fine. I'm just teasing you. Cut all this out.
But anyway, so we're going to be back with Ryan Murphy. We're going to do 4 episodes discussing Nip Tuck. If I can get, yes, self-care is very important. If I can, speaking of self-care, if I can get through my Nip Tuck binge without being like, oh my gosh. We're going to talk about Nip Tuck and we're going to talk about Glee. So 2 very different, but I think those were the 2 shows that really, really catapulted him. And then we're going to be talking about American Horror Story and American Crime Story. So that should be really interesting. So that'll be a lot of fun. And we're going to once again play that video. But of course, before I put that up here, just remember, until next time, it's a fandom thing. Black Lives Matter and stop Asian hate. And thank you so much to everybody that watched, listened, commented, everything like that. You guys are, sorry, I'm trying to be better at saying that. You are all amazing and beautiful. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. These are so much fun to do. And I'm also really excited sometimes when they end because I can't have my AC on while we're doing these. And so I'm melting over here. It's a personal thing. But anyway, thank you so much. And here once again is our lovely horror trivia preview. And once again, we'll have those links up on our social media along with the preview of the new logo. So love you all. Thank you so much. And I hope everybody has a great week since I won't be virtually talking to people. So I've gone off the rails. Sorry. Good night.
We're going to start calling you Meg pretty soon.
I know.